Thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I think we connected via LinkedIn, and I saw some of the things that you had, and I had to reach out, and I had to talk a little further because this world of coaching and the things that we do, I want to explore more. And this
Mhm.
podcast is about um, talking about what people mean about core values and then how that impacts their life. Now,
Yeah.
for you, that may be a more interesting conversation because this is some of the work that you do. So I'm kind of curious about that. But in
Yeah.
all these podcasts, that's what I'm trying to understand. What are these things of core values? What does it mean to the person? And how does that apply to some of the things that they do in their lives?
Great. Sounds really good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me and reaching out in LinkedIn. It was a big surprise, but I love surprises, so I always say yes to surprise.
Well, hopefully it's not too bad of a surprise. So I saw some of the things that you do online with your firm, and I was really impressed. And I wanted to reach out to see, are there certain things in our humanity that are the same, regardless of border, language, and things that we do. So that's why I wanted to have a conversation and just say, and ask you what your thoughts are about core values. What may be your core values and how does that apply? And again, I shouldn't be stacking my questions. I know that as a professional coach. So
But it seems to me that you're very excited. I'm excited too, so that's good.
well, I do love this, and obviously there's a connection that I have from my heritage from the
Yeah.
from the Polish perspective. So to me, this is even more of an exciting and more important conversation. So I apologize if my exuberance is a little elevated, but
Oh
for
my
me,
God,
this
don't
is
apologize at all. It's just I'm just really excited to be here, really, and I feel the really good energy that you and I have. So
so. Tell
beautiful.
me, when you work with people or you do your coaching, what do or how do core values play into some of the work that you do?
Well, I think it starts with choosing the relationship with the client because what I like to do like the initial interview before we start the coaching work, and I look for core values alignment with the clients. And since I've been doing coaching for 25 years already, uh, I'm in a position that I don't want to sound like I stick my nose up, but I can choose my clients, which is very nice and very good position to be in. And I, from a certain point in my life, I started to work basically with the people that have similar core values to mine. And my mission is to support this kind of people here in Poland and also all over the world because I have clients abroad as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
So if in terms of values congruence, if I asked you, would you be willing to share what you feel your core values are?
of course, I'll be more than happy to do that. Um, First core value is love, and the way I understand love is the eternal energy that flows in the whole universe, and it's a creating energy. It doesn't have any flaws, and you don't have to earn it. So basically, love is for me is one of the core values for humanity because when you look into human to human connection and you go down to core values level, basically there are no differences when we meet on a human to human level because usually we meet on a business to business or role to role level, then we have sex to sex level, and then when you go down there's a human to human, and on this level we connect just in a beautiful way, and so this is what I'm looking for, and it's not really easy to go through all the defense mechanisms that we all have and all the facades and social facades, but when you basically break through all of those barriers, then you're in a human to human connection, and I think this is beautiful. So,
I had a funny feeling I would have loved our conversation, no pun intended, but this is great. This is good. I feel very connected to that. So thank you for sharing that. What else comes up for you for core values?
well, love is the first one. Then another one is responsibility. And for me, responsibility is um, intrapsychic and interpersonal. So first one is I take responsibility for myself. So I like what comes out of responsibility is freedom and also autonomy for me. And those are really important core values. Because when I take responsibility for myself, for my thinking, for my feelings, and for my actions, then I'm free. So basically, I take responsibility for what emotions they have, and it's really difficult for me to be emotional if I don't want to, and it takes a lot of self-discipline, and self-discipline in training, self-discipline in working with my mental and emotional how do you call them in English? Not the schemes, but the patterns. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yes, it takes a lot of training, and I love training, so I do that.
How did you? Well, I want to get back to the core values in a second, but I'm curious. How did you get into this type of work? What brought you to this type of work when you started?
Oh, this is a long story. This is a long story. I'm
If you have the
55
time, I
now.
have the time. So
So I'm 55 now, and I have 35 years of working experience. And first years of my career, I was in sales basically, and I was on all levels of sales, from just sales rep up until board member responsible, vice president responsible for sales.
wow.
And the higher up I went, I I lost the connection with the fun and with the essence of my work, because what I love to do is uh, to be in a connection with other people. And the higher up you go of the corporate ladder, then you are very well connected with numbers and KPIs, but not well connected to people. And this is something that I dislike. So at some point in my life, I was making really good money, and I thought to myself, I do not find a fun in what I do. And it was, I think, it was the end of '90s when I discovered coaching. It was a very beginning of a coaching here in Poland, and I decided to get some training. So I bought some books, and I started to help my coworkers. So basically, I started with the on-the-job training, and
Oh
also I
wow.
was working. You probably know this company because it's very big in the United States. Prudential insurance company of
Oh
America.
my wife up there, which I can't point there. She worked for Prudential. I want to say almost close to 30 years in
Oh
Newark,
wow,
New Jersey. Yeah.
wow, yeah. So I was working. I was working in the Prudential International Insurance,
Oh
and
wow.
they opened up a Polish office here.
You probably know some of the same people that she knows. That wouldn't surprise
Probably I
me.
do. Probably I do, because there were some people from Newark coming to Poland, and they were training us.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so it's yes, it's and I found so much fun in helping my life planners and agents to become better and better. And And I thought to myself, well, instead of being a sales manager, I'd rather be a coach because this what creates the fun for me. So I started to develop this path, and I went from on-the-job coaching into executive coaching and a life coaching. And at some point, I just decided to leave this company and create my own business with my partner.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how some of these things work when you look at them, retroactively. It's almost, serendipitous.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And I went for something that gives me energy and fun because well, at some point you just realize that if you do whatever you're created or born to do, the money will follow, and this is what really happened.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot to that I know some people used to say they call it like the invisible hand. So if you go on your path, usually you think there's obstacles, but there's usually and maybe I'm getting too esoteric, but there's like a guiding hand that helps you if you're on your path, right? And things that you didn't realize were there for you or are all of a sudden there for you if you look. So I believe in that quite a bit.
Yeah, this is what I experienced, and this is what I also experience with some of my clients that I have because I do also the life coaching, and sometimes I get clients that are looking for the meaning of their life, and we're going into that journey, and when they find it, they see that with minimal effort they have maximum results, and it's crazy for them because for half of their life they were struggling to get some results, and right now they put not a lot of effort, but the results are just outstanding.
That's great. I find that happens for me and my clients, and why I'm so curious about this core values. I find when my clients and organizations connect to that, it brings a different level of conversation that people are having. So I like to say when you have this awakening in terms of the core values journey, you end up talking to people, not through people. And
Yeah.
it's a different intimacy is not the right word, from a physical perspective, but intimacy in terms of who the other person is.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
me, I think that's important.
I love the word connection because when you're in a real deep and a true connection with the person, uh, the time just flies by, and you discover yourself on a completely different level.
Yeah, well, I think it's to what you said earlier. There is sort of this it's so funny. Some of those things that you said are exactly the types of things that I'm exploring now. So it's pretty weird when you think about that. Anyway, I'm getting off on my tangent here. But you had mentioned love and responsibility. Are there other core values that you ascribe yourself to?
These are those two that are most important for me, and the rest of the values are coming out of those two,
Wow.
basically.
And
So, like I said,
um,
freedom, autonomy. There's also being effective and yeah, conscientious and stuff like that. But it just
one thing
comes
I
out of
know,
those two.
one thing I know that coaches struggle with is the ability to take the coaching philosophies and tools and techniques and change the nomenclature so it fits a business perspective. Right. So for me, it would be tough for me to go into a client and say, love is something that we should do. I'd have to, change it a little bit in terms of how it's received. Do you find that happens in your journey that you've seen over time? That's a common thing that I think coaches struggle with.
Yes, when I meet people that are from a coaching culture and they do not have economic or business background, I think it might be difficult for them. For me, I think it's much easier because the business was my um, uh, the first foundation that I have developed. So I have a translator in my head, and instead of talking about love, I'm talking about relationship management, and I'm talking about social skills, and I'm talking about soft skills that brings hard results and stuff like that. So
Yeah, no,
I
that's
have a
beautiful.
translator in my head.
But it's funny you say it because I have a a background in finance, a CPA. I think a chartered financial analyst is more European, but I have the CPA and I worked in finance for 20 years. So um, to think about it from those terms, it's much easier for me. And I
Yeah.
think new coaches, when they go through training, it's very difficult for them to translate that into, into a corporate speak or, a boardroom type of language. I think it's interesting when you have a business background and you bring that coaching layer on top of it. It's very powerful from the things that you can achieve.
I think you're completely right because dealing with executives, I think if you haven't been an executive and you're trying to help them doing executive coaching, I think it's very difficult to feel their perspective because if you haven't been in the board, if you haven't been vice president, it's hard for some people to even imagine what kind of responsibility you're holding and
Yeah.
how emotional it is, how difficult it is emotionally, for example, to be in this position. And sometimes they just provide them with some simple answers, but those simple answers are not that easy to implement.
Yeah,
So it helps a lot.
the interesting thing is that sometimes it is a simple answer that they can't see
Yeah.
because they don't have
Yeah.
that perspective, which is great that we can provide. I had once had a chief operating officer of a company corner me in one of the workshops that we were doing, and he said to me, "How am I going to how am I supposed to explain to the board how this is going to help achieve our financial objectives that the board has signed us up for?"
Yeah.
And to me, it was a very easy and obvious answer, but from their perspective, it was they couldn't bridge that gap. And I think once you're able to help them do that, it opens up so many other possibilities for them. And then you see them, think differently, which I think is that's the magic that I think happens. Once you see that and they shift, that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I do love this saying that everywhere you look, you use your own eyes. And so basically, during a coaching session, you invite them to see the world through your eyes, and this brings a dialogue, meaning a dyad of logic. So two different logics and two different two different perspectives looking at one situation, and this will provide them with like deeper understanding of what's going on and um, what are the different points of view, for example. And if a client allowed themselves to leave their position and join you in your point of view, I think this is a transformative experience.
You had mentioned you'd been coaching in the corporate space for several years. What still excites you about coaching?
What still excites me about coaching,
Yeah.
there's this one thing that I really like about coaching, and also right now I'm in a therapy training to become a therapist.
Oh,
It's
wow.
it's the personal transformation, and that I am being a part of that. That I accompany my client or my patient in the personal transformation, and when I see a person on the very first session and when I see the person on the very last session, they're two different people. And I love that. I love the transformation and I love to accompany them during the process. This
Wow.
is this is my thing. Yeah.
So what led you to to study therapy?
With the coaching, you get to a certain level of transformation, and I had some clients that I had to refer to my friends therapists. And when I went for some open therapy training with ISTDP, which is intensive short-term um, uh, dynamic psychotherapy,
Oh,
and when
wow.
I saw those results, I was like, oh my God, I have to learn this. I have to learn this. And as I went through more open trainings, and finally I got accepted into therapy school of ISTDP here in Poland.
Wow. How long is that gonna how long is the school?
Well, it takes 3 years, but for the core training, then you have 3 years of advanced training, but basically you're in a constant learning mode. So I decided to become therapist when I will be 65. So I have 10 years to go.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, I still have time.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm the only one student there that is not in the rush, because everyone else is rushing to be a therapist, and I have my coaching career, and I'm like, yeah, I still have a couple more years.
Well, that's amazing because it almost sounds like uh, you're doing it for the love of doing it.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Because I see the transformation, the personal transformation, and I think this is the most amazing thing when you see a person who is really troubled or do not have results, and you help them to transform their life, transform their relationship with the family. This is amazing. And also one of the key elements of ISTDP training is that I had to go through my therapy as well. And
Oh, okay. So, oh, that's interesting.
yes, and I just finished this therapy. I had like 60 sessions, and let me tell you, it's just amazing thing. And very close to a place where you are, you have a wonderful therapist. His name is John Rathauser, and he is just a master. He is just a master.
I might have to you might have to connect this and we might have a conversation. Maybe he'll do the podcast and we could talk about that. So I'm
Oh,
very interested in this.
definitely. He's a great person. I met him in person because I think in September we were doing the first international ISTDP, no, first European ISTDP conference here in Warsaw, and he came over as a speaker, as a guest speaker, and he also had a masterclass here in Poland. So I met him in person, and he's just a beautiful human being, and
Wow.
a lot to learn from him.
And do you, where in the States is he? Is he in the New York area, New Jersey area, or?
Yes, yes, he's in New Jersey area.
Oh yeah, yes. We have to talk and connect.
Actually, this upcoming Friday, he has a open webinar, and so I can send you a link, and uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
That
and
would be
and, and
great.
you can join. He's just yes, yes,
Well, I think anytime you can explore, regardless of what the discipline is, if there's interest, I think that just feeds the soul.
yeah.
So for me, uh, I'm not new to exploring different areas. So like after my 20-year career in finance and corporate, I went to acting school for a couple years.
Wow.
Yeah, while I was doing my coaching program. and I did some stand-up comedy and improv. So that was
Isn't this great?
yeah, well, it was so important to me. See, these books right here, those are my notebooks from the 2 years of acting school. And again, this is when you know I was in my 40s, and the people that were in the class were half my age and younger.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I was the person who was always sitting in the front, really engaged. I mean, writing like crazy, all this kind of stuff. So, but to me, there was just a love for the art form and what it really meant and how they did it. And to me, that was very exciting because the school that I went to, it wasn't, they don't, they teach you a process in terms of
Hmm.
how to do things. And to me, that was very exciting because a lot of times when people say acting, they think, oh, it's just you get this emotion and you do this. And there's a lot of that, but there's also a process that you follow in order to be able to access a lot of those things. So to me, it was just it was an incredible experience. I still have one of the agents that I do some things with for every once in a while, but there were so many parallels between acting and coaching. That was the other
Ah,
thing that I found was very interesting
amazing,
because
amazing.
I was doing a coaching program at the same time. So I was literally finishing up acting class and then running in New York City 2 or 3 blocks to get to my coaching class. And at one point, I have my coaching manuals over there, and I would sit right. We literally just did this in acting class. So some of these things. So it was really fascinating.
This is something that I can relate to very strongly. I'm usually the oldest one in the class because because I think this is what I also like about our job, that you have to develop all the time, and you cannot just stop and say, okay, I know, because this is a learning process all the time. And I love the saying, if you take someone to the other side of the river, you're there as well. And
Mm,
this is the coaching process. And this is the
yeah.
coaching process. So basically, you develop along with your clients and patients.
Yeah, the continuous learning is definitely something that's interesting because there's always, I mean, I see your background is very similar to my background.
And you're living abroad, right?
Well, I have got another bookcase right here that's just sort of slightly off the camera that's completely filled with books.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah.
I have another one that's over there that's completely filled with books. But my wife yells at me because I buy I buy them so often, and I sometimes I don't have enough time to read them. But
Yeah.
it's always good to be able to have them to access them. I know they're going to be there. So for me, for me, the holidays are, what, just a book, a good book, is a wonderful gift that will keep
Yeah.
giving. When my children went away to university, what I did is at night before we would take them to university, I would take books, like 3 books that I thought they may appreciate or may like, and I slipped them into their luggage.
Nice.
So, when we left and they
Nice.
unpacked, there would be, these books there. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to sort of pass that love of learning from a book
Hmm.
onto that generation. So who knows? Maybe they'll take it and I'll just throw it out.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Um, so if I was to ask, what are some of the heroes that you grew up with or that influenced you along your journey?
Oh, I had so many of them. Really, I had so many of them because, like I said, my journey was a long one. I do remember my first therapist because I was in the therapy for the first time when I was 31, and then after a quarter of century, I joined the therapy again. And my first therapist, it was actually it was a great guy because he helped me to straighten my life, and he inspired me actually to look into helping other people to grow. A friend of mine, because when I was in the very beginning of my 20s, I spent 4 years in the United States, and I lived there with my roommate, and then he became my great friend, Jeff Phillips, and we still keep in touch.
Where in the
So
States were you?
I was in San Francisco, California,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
in the very beginning of '90s, from 1990 from 1992 till 1995. Yeah,
Wow.
great time, great time. So uh, then my first boss, he was when I came back to Poland, he was an American fellow, and he invited me to work for his company, and I guess I was the only fluent speaker in his company because it was 1995. So in Poland, many people spoke English, but they haven't really been abroad. Not too many of them, and I
Yeah.
just came back from the States, so I would understand his jokes, and we would have this really good time together. Not only that, but he taught me a lot of about leadership. And yes, my two of my leaders in a Prudential company, Bob and Mike, they were just wonderful guys. I mean, like I said, I have many of them, many of them. So I think I'm blessed
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds
with so
it.
many with so many good people along on my journey.
What do you think you received from them?
Hmm. I think wisdom, love, and care. I remember when I was when I was in the States, and I was in a very difficult situation because I had to leave my apartment and I couldn't find a new one. And I was working with Jeff. He was my colleague from work, and I just shared that I have some troubles in life, and he asked me what's going on. I said, I I have no place to live, and within like 3 weeks, I have to leave the apartment. And I was thinking that I will live in Tenderloin in the San Francisco, the worst area. And he just hold his head like this, and he used to live in an uphill, which is much nicer area. And he said, "Why don't you come over to my apartment and maybe we can become roommates?" And I asked him, "Where do you live?" He said, "Nob Hill." And I said, "No, no, I cannot afford it." And he goes like, "You don't have to." And I'm thinking, "What do you mean I don't have to?" And he goes like, "Well, you need some help, and I love to help people. So why don't you come over, just live with me?" And I said, I don't have money right now to pay." And he said, "You'll pay me later whenever you get the
Wow.
money." It was crazy. I was on my own in the States, and I just received uh, so much love and help from just a colleague from work who later became I think my best friend, really.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that. Yeah,
sure.
it's amazing. I think what happens when people open themselves up, and that's not an easy thing for a lot of people to do. So, but thank you for sharing that. That was great.
Of course.
Um, if there was like one or two key takeaways that you want somebody who's listening to this conversation to walk away with, what would be the one or two things that you would want somebody listening to this to think about?
Um, whenever you meet someone, do not look at the appearances. Try to look for the human nature of the person, and look through their behavior, look through their boundaries, look through their blocks, and trying to find this beautiful soul that's within that person. and look deep into their eyes and look into what this person has to really offer and what are their urges and needs of that person. And if you can see that, then you will just get the human to human connection. And I think this is the most beautiful thing. And second thing is that also from the human to human level, that there are no boundaries.
Mhm.
There's no race, no color, no nationalities. We are just humans. And on the human to human level, we are so alike, really. This is my understanding from also traveling all over the world and meeting many people that look different from the outside, but when you talk to them and when you have a deep conversation, and I'm just lucky enough to have those deep, meaningful conversation with them, we are so much alike.
Well, I hope that this conversation emulates that. I think it does. And by the way, the funny thing is, we are both wearing the same colors, and I usually have these glasses on, but I don't need them this close. But this is I usually wear these glasses. So, but you are much more gifted in the follicle perspective than I am.
It's my toupee. It's my toupee.
Oh, if people wanted to find out more or connect with you and maybe find out what your company does and what would be the best way that somebody can reach out and connect with you?
I think the best way is to find me on the LinkedIn, um, and also on my webpage, which is smiechandpartners.com. I'm also on the Instagram and TikTok. So if they put SMIECH, they will be able to find me.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Andrzej, I can't thank you enough for this. This has been really fun on many levels, and I hope that we have further conversations. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thomas, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for reaching out, and I hope to talk to you again.